Yo, 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 yo.
Welcome to the show. Now, in case you guys are wondering, normally I go through all this banter, but we got a special guest today recapping the thing that we went to on Saturday. And
Yeah.
as you know, this is a show that tells you where we're going and then talks about where we went. So we went to Lionel's event, and you guys should all know us by now. We're not even going to do any introductions.
Not me.
We all
He's
went to an
him.
event on
She's she.
Saturday, except for Jamal. Jamal wasn't there, but Tony did the first half of the event, and I was there the second half. So, Tony, I'm gonna let you. Well, actually, Lionel, which one of y'all want to go first?
Lionel can go because
It was his event.
yeah, on Monday we did the recap and I spoke about it. Yesterday I was out. I wasn't here. I had a migraine or bad headache that would turn into one. So the guys kicked me off right before 10.
We really did.
Because I was like this.
Her eyes were so close
She looked
together.
like
Well,
she
you know,
was
when you have
wasted.
a migraine, you can't, right?
You
So they
the
were
light
like,
or nothing.
goodbye. And I
She
was
was
like,
popular.
okay, I'm going to take my medicine. I had already taken it. So I wasn't here. So super glad to be back and glad that Lionel is back with us. So he can now give his recap from the perspective of being one of the organizers and giving the event and how he saw everything. So glad you're here, Lionel. Welcome back.
Awesome. Glad
Spotlight.
to be back, you guys. It's good to be here. Altadena Talks is going to be a legendary podcast when people look back on this a year or two from now. So I will say that first. The event was awesome because it was educational. I wasn't. Yeah, Tony has a lot of information. You know. And,
You picked the right one when you had her.
I did. I don't know. Hey, man, you know, guy was like, yo, tell her. And as the marketing chief, I get requests to find different people, you know. And I asked Tony, the day before, and she was like, okay, well, yeah, I was like, okay. I didn't know what
she gives you that little timid, I see what I can do. And then she coming there.
I was like, okay,
Monica Lewinsky.
got a lot of information. This might be perfect. Match made in heaven. And it was because it definitely was because the information got out there. I think that's the main thing to take away. Regardless of what these businesses or sponsors have and what they bring to the table, sometimes no matter what you do, you're not going to be as informed as somebody else. So she was kind of breaking it down, you know, for people. Moments, for me personally, moments were kind of funny when she was, you know, correcting people. But I would say this: is the information correct? And if it is correct, it's correct. You just have to accept what it is, you know.
Constructive criticism.
Well, you know how I try to make things light, you guys, when especially if I'm checking somebody I don't know, I was like, well, hold up. You know, stuff like that. And people would giggle or laugh because I didn't want it being harsh. But again, Lionel, you know, from knowing us a little bit that we pride ourselves in investigating or vetting and making sure we give accurate information, not only here on the show, but if we're anywhere in the community and we have the knowledge, we want to make sure we give that. So that's what that was about.
Exactly. So I'm saying we should definitely have the Tony litmus test for the sponsors and vendors to know what we're getting involved with when they come and show up. Okay.
Indubitably.
Facts, just like you
the
say.
TLT.
You know, so definitely let's create that. Any event that I do personally, just, you know, whatever I spearhead, I definitely want my sponsors to be well informed even before they give me $1, because the last thing I want is for them to be mad at me because I have more information than them on the spot, you know. And I'm not saying that they were mad, because at the end of the day they were educated, and if they didn't like that, then
you can't be mad if you got educated.
You know? And it's for the people, you know. Words, you know, when it comes down to it, this is for the people of Altadena. Even Pasadena and some of the people of Sierra Madre.
Right.
Yeah, but it's for the people, and I think that's what I took away from the event, is that it was for the people, and Tony was making sure that that message got clearly across. And then portion of the event, I'm still doing my marketing thing. You know, I popped in and out. I have to run back. I got to make sure everything is the way it should be. you know, as far as the what do you call it, the itinerary, the pamphlets, basically. So I'm doing marketing, I'm getting educated, and then I'm doing notes for the town hall, you know. So but that's how events are. You know, sometimes things need to be changed, sometimes they're last minute, and if anybody out there is looking to do an event, you're going to see it firsthand for yourself. I saw it in the fashion industry. I'm seeing it here doing recovery events, you know, and it's all the same. And once you get used to it, it just blends together. You know, you can be stressed out or you can just go with the flow, you know. So.
What was the overall feedback that you got from the attendees? Did they have like an official like form that they filled out or anything? Or did you request anything like that?
The overall feedback, we're going to be covering that later on this week. Okay. So come about, I believe we're going to cover it Sunday. They told me the 19th, because after the event, everybody's just recouping their minds, you know.
Of course.
So, and then, so after, and plus that gives everybody enough time to go through the feedback, you know. So we're going to recap on Sunday. So pretty much it. I would say everybody who was there, there wasn't really like a super. I would say it's a positive response. There wasn't no negative vibes there. Everybody was fed and informed, you know. And they got we had we had clothes, we had toys, we had a whole bunch of things for the people.
Yeah, a lot of air purifiers.
A lot of air purifiers.
Man, they dropped off. They dropped off a lot.
I mean, they were stacked up there in the media room.
Yes. So I think the next day during church, I think some of those people who needed it got something.
That's good.
So yeah. So definitely.
So are there plans to have additional events like that?
That is the plans. We're recapping on. We're recapping on Sunday. Actually, my painter's right here, so if you can give me 1 second so I can let him in.
Sure.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, you good? Yeah. You good? Okay, cool. Never mind.
He's like, I got the key. I know how to get in.
I'm telling me. Got work to do.
But let me know actually, let me go ahead and move real quick, you guys. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing, though. I'm glad we're having events like this. That not just ours, obviously. We had that one that was fantastic, the Builders Town Hall meeting. But to be able to go and participate at others and also get some feedback from the attendees, in addition to us, Tony, providing intel and feedback to the people who put on the event, you know, to make sure that they get the right information and maybe give some suggestions on how to, you know, maybe do things a little better next time, or let them know what worked, or if they want additional information the next time. I think that's really good.
Welcome, Erica. Appreciate you here. Thank you for sharing.
So I will say this. I think I said it on Monday, but I'm going to say it again. If anybody wants me to come moderate, I will be happy to come and moderate. But make sure your panelists know everything, because if they don't, and I begin giving details because we have the answers or we have the knowledge, I'll say that. Don't come and take the mic from me and be like, we need the panelists to be able to speak, because that did happen. But it was
if they ain't saying what they're supposed to say, you got to do the
panelists didn't have the answers for people, and I did. So when they finished, I got the mic and I said, oh, and by the way, right, just like I said with Miss AAA, Sofia Vigara, you know, she never mentioned about the builder's risk insurance. And that's something that literally on one of our shows I was on, and my mama texted me about it, right? And so I was able to say that and talk about it. And for anyone that does not know, that wants to rebuild, builder's risk insurance is what you need to talk to your current insurance company about, so that when you start to rebuild, meaning you have your architect, your plans have been submitted, you got your permit, and you can do it now as well. Because if your lot hasn't been cleared, it would cover the ACOE as well. Builder's risk insurance will cover anybody being on your lot if they get hurt. Now, if a contractor has somebody on the lot, the contractor should have workers' comp insurance or whatever and to cover their person. But even though that may happen, somebody could still come and try to sue you. And we know people are trying to get lots by any means they can, right? Whether it's buying them or whatever. Well, if I say I got hurt on your lot, I could sue you and maybe just settle for you giving me your lot, turning over the lot, right? You don't want that to happen. So where your policy for homeowners insurance, you might not be paying the homeowners part because you don't have a home anymore, but to keep yourself protected and safe, have your insurance company change it to the builder's risk insurance. And that would be now all the way through the point where your appliances are put back into your home. So, you know, your fixtures might be up, your doors, your windows, all that, but then they get ready to put the appliances in. Once they put the appliances in, it converts back over to your homeowner's insurance, because with appliances, it's now a home again, right? So if anybody does not know that, make sure you talk to your insurance company about builder's risk insurance. So that's one thing I did say, because Miss AAA didn't mention it, and I wanted people to know. So, but that's super important, right? Because when we were on the call like this on the podcast that day, my mother's in the background texting me like, "Oh, we just got our builder's risk insurance from USAA. Make sure you talk about that." And I had to wait until I was off the phone, talk to her, and then bring it the next day. But a lot of people have no clue that they need to do that. And if you want to make sure you're protected and somebody cannot come and potentially try to sue you or take your lot because they say they got hurt on it, make sure you have builder's risk insurance now through the point of getting appliances installed in your new home and you're covered. And I think it's like $500 for the whole year.
Yeah, great point. So if she ever does come back, got to make sure that that's covered for sure. Or any other event where somebody's talking about insurance, we got to make sure that's covered.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pertinent, to the situation.
I just need the whole Tony playbook. It needs to be a guide that we have. So we can at least hand it to people and say, "Hey, before you come in and say you know something, why don't you just look at these quick Altadena facts? Look at these quick Altadena Talk facts. We just want to slide through this just so you can know, if you have any questions, just ask us before.
Maybe we'll go and get some of the clips and make them into some shorts. Brian could do that.
Roll the tape, Jim.
Right. And then maybe from the shorts I could have, put them in the chat and say, put this together and have some FAQs like that, Lionel. Thanks for saying that, because that is something maybe we can do and put on our Altadena Talks website, and people can just go right where all of the documents are and get that. It wouldn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to mention though too that the recovery.lacounty.gov has a lot of great information. I'm sure most people are not going to read the entire pages, because they have some expandable sections where there'll be a question asked. You hit the plus sign, it gives the answer. So it's kind of like an FAQ format. And, a lot of people should utilize that, because most of the information, well, not most, but a lot of information I get from the county, especially those beginning slides that I talk about, a lot of that data is updated right there. And if you look at any of the county posts or their slides or their website, they always reference, when you want to get additional information, back to recovery.lacounty.gov. There's a whole lot of detail there. Yep, definitely.
Okay, definitely.
So, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that I also attended the Altadena Fair. After our event, I went over to the Altadena Fair. That was very informational. They did have conferences
at the convention center.
At the Pasadena Convention Center. Okay, I don't know if anybody else attended it, but yes, there's a lot of people that are doing shops that are having material that are fireproof homes. That was my main thing to focus on. I think one question that I keep asking people that I'm seeing that they don't know is like, what does your material melt at? And usually it's because they either they don't know or their company hasn't had to go through that question. But I think it's a question that needs to be asked if they're going to say that this is going to last through a fire. So they end up having to look it up on the spot, but everything is an educational process. And I think that we all need to continue to ask these questions and think about how to rebuild. So I wanted to add it. Yeah.
Definitely, most definitely. So what all besides that were they doing? Because it said Future Fair, right? Was the name of it or something? And it was Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So obviously building to the new codes and standards, which does require fireproofing or fire resistant materials. What else did they have, or what information did they have that was beneficial to our communities?
There was people covering insurance. There was a group of 4 people that were doing contracting work, insurance work, architect work. They were all in one section. I think about 3 of them were from Altadena. I gotta get the name of it, but I'm
gonna bring up the site in a second.
Yeah, I got everything on the inside. Try it or something. Lord. Got to get the business card. So besides that, there was a couple of people there, like the Bunny Museum, looking for donations to rebuild. I don't know if you guys been there in Altadena.
Yep.
What'd you say the name of this place was?
Yeah, I have. That was the Bunny Museum.
It was
no, not the Bunny Museum. Was it Regenerative Systems or Casa Atlas or something?
No, this was the Future Fair that was at the convention center over the weekend.
No, I was talking about the fireproofing people that he was talking about.
Oh.
No,
he was trying to recall the name.
Yeah, I gotta go grab all that stuff, but I have it all the business cards and everything. One
trying
of the
to
groups
see if they had it listed here. Nope.
Yeah, it's a lot of groups.
Yeah, because the guy reached out to me. I don't know if you remember, Jamal, the guy that was talking to me at the benefit concert for Ashes to Anthem. And
which
he's about
the architect?
No. He was talking about fireproofing materials that they were, he gave me a booklet or something. I know it's somewhere around here.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, they reached out today. Both of them sent me an email, and both of them started off with "Dear Brain." And I'm like, if you really want me to take your email seriously, learn how to spell my name right, because I will clown you on the return email. I'm like,
come on, Brain.
Man, it's irritating. It's
Pinky
like,
and the.
You know what I'm gonna start doing? I'm not even gonna say anything anymore. When you say my name wrong, I'm going to spell your name wrong. And then you're going to look at it and go, this guy is disrespectful, but you started it. So
he started it like a kid.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm always going to revert back. So, Corie, we're looking forward to you. June's coming up. You said you'd be out here.
Yeah, what's up with that?
You got 2 weeks. I'll give you a month.
Yeah. Brian was like, I'm calling Corie out with this.
Yeah, because she's our resident commenter. We love you, by the way. Coming on and spreading the news and everything. But we really need you to be on the show.
Spreading the news.
And not with that space background that you had in our Zoom meeting. Because Corie be way over here. This part. Corie be like, oh, yeah. I was like, girl, where you at? And that's when her and Johnny used to go back and forth. Now that's funny. What I love about this show is that we're all local, so we all have some sort of relationship that we've had between each other. Passing, going to school, working together, stuff like that. So when outsiders watch this show and they
they'd be like, what?
They were like, these people can't be serious. No, yes, we are. We're serious about our town and the people, and this is how we deal with each other. You know, sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's joking, but all in all, at the end of the day, which I cannot stand that phrase, at the end of the day.
Then don't say it.
I never do. It's just, I don't know why it came out. Because somebody used to say that to me after every sentence.
That's like needless to say. Like, well, it's needless to say. Why are you saying it? Right.
Or I could care less. So did you care at all? Did you care more? My father used to be like, you know, you shouldn't say stuff that you don't really know what it means.
True that.
So,
a lot of people wouldn't be saying much of anything. Unfortunately,
what you complain about is what you're committed to. So,
hey,
the more you complain about it, the more you're gonna say it.
Hey,
yeah. So, hey, I'll be quiet. But when they leave, I'll be talking again.
I'll be quiet for a little bit, then I start back up.
Or sometimes I want to go, no, because that's going to take me down a dark path that I don't want to continue to go on with this person. So I'm like, no, never mind.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm so glad you came on and we're talking about these things, because a lot of people don't get to see or get to get out. My thing is, we need to really start doing more events that the public can actually see that can't be there. So like, you know, setting up some media and stuff. So that's what we had Style Click Media. I'm not Style Click Media. I really messed that up.
We talking about going live?
Yeah.
Like live out of
because people need to know. One of the things that helped us out at the Anthem, I'm not saying that I was the cause of how many people came, but a lot of people came up to our booth and said, if you hadn't went live and telling us that it stopped raining, I wouldn't even have came outside.
Yeah,
said,
that was really helpful.
Yeah, so
well, it's just like what started this whole thing, right, B? When you went down to the Rose Bowl,
right?
I mean, you had a ton of people coming down because they saw live right then and there. People were getting pizzas and all kind of stuff, so it's very helpful.
Yeah.
I don't think
and they trust you too.
Anything. It's funny because I'll be at these events and I'm a victim too, and I don't ever take advantage of it because I'm so busy trying to get the word out to everybody else. I'll forget to grab something.
Yeah, you need to take some time and participate.
The thing with that though is, Brian, you were raised to have integrity and you have good character, right? Those are the words that if Al Bailey didn't say them, I don't know how many times, I would never know them, right? But those were the things that like our parents ingrained in us, right? You have to have integrity. I remember my dad used to say, mean what you say what you mean, ask for what you want, right? Have integrity and have good character. Because if you don't have good character,
nobody gonna believe you.
Nothing, right? If you don't have
integrity, want to mess with you either.
Right, exactly.
We know some people that got bad character.
So that's the thing. There's so many people coming into the community to get stuff and get free stuff, right? But you know you weren't impacted by the fires. You know you weren't burnt down. You know you don't have smoke damage because you were maybe somewhere a mile downwind where there are some toxic stuff on your grass, whatever, right? But you weren't evacuated or whatever. But you're coming and you're getting everything as though you were. And I'm thankful for the ladies at the Kims, I think, up at Fair Oaks Burger, and everybody that's asking for IDs, because unless you have that driver's license or something with that address on it, because look, I told y'all, I have Adobe Acrobat, I have Pro, right? When they were like, you can't get in without your address, baby, I pulled up my Edison bill and I swapped my current address and put my mama and them's address and printed just the front page so that if I needed to get there when the whatchamacallit was still going, the who are they at the corners?
You letting the secrets out, girl. You letting the secrets
No, because
Coast Guard, not the Coast Guard, the
National Guard.
The
Yeah.
National Guard.
Yeah.
I was determined to get to our house, right? To our property. And because I hadn't seen it and I had to go. And so I had it. I even told my mother, she was like, well, why did you do that? I said, because when I want to go to the house, I need to be able to say, oh, here's my thing. I wasn't going to lie and say, oh, I lost my ID. I just wasn't pulling out my ID, my California driver's license that has my home address on it. So I could just do that, right? Now, would I do it to try to go and get, anything? No, that was to get to the house I grew up in, to my parents' lot, because I needed to get up there for me to see it. So yes, people are doing things like that for the wrong reasons. I wasn't doing it for the wrong reasons. I was trying to get to the house. But other than that, like, I shredded it, right? But people are doing that saying, oh, this was my house, and getting FEMA or whatever, making
or Red Cross.
Or Red Cross. And if you do it like that, that's not integrity. You're not, you being foul. You're taking from somebody that needs it. I have not gone and asked for a penny, because I'm not owed a penny, right? I have said, to my parents, my daughter, my sister, hey, this was your guys' address. You're within those zones. Go and, get what you need. If I had information that we got here and it hadn't trickled down to them yet. But as far as like, would I just make a document to go and stand in a line? No, because I know good and well better that I wasn't, that wasn't for me. You know what I mean? And so the people that are doing it that don't know better, that's a sad thing. And that's what we keep seeing. Even, what are we, 4 months out? Like, stop doing that. Because for Victory to have to turn 200 people away last week because of that, for the Red Cross thing, like, that's super shady.
That's crazy.
Right, and they're not playing, because that guy Johan, he was there to be like, I'm going to make sure that you are where you're supposed to be.
Good.
Like the guy from Beverly Hills come out, and he made me laugh. He was cool though. I imitated him on the way out. Everybody was busting up. Thank you all for having me. I'm so appreciative. I was able to get my stuff set up. Thank you to Johan and all the other associates here.
Somebody's got to do it though. It's always good to vet the community to make sure they're the community. Because somebody.
Well, the funniest thing is you'll be sitting in line knowing that somebody, the person, they ain't from there. They be like this.
They try to bring 4 people in the line with them. Hey, come on.
Oh, that's another thing. At Fame, I was told that. Just sliding in.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah, definitely. So last night I actually went to a group therapy session at the Fuller College.
Nice.
Yeah, so one of my friends invited me. I didn't know she was already doing it for like 10 weeks for women, and then they have 10. Now
was that one of your vendors?
Do about
Foothill?
12 weeks.
Was that one of your vendors you had?
It was not. This is one of my. Oh, as soon as I say something, can you guys see me?
No, we can hear you.
Yeah,
you hear me?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was one of my friends that we both go to multiple different events in Altadena for the recovery. She lost her home, and so she's living out in Old Town right now, in the apartment complexes. So, but besides the point of saying that, it was for Black men and Black women, because a lot of times we don't go to therapy. So I thought it was interesting. I'm all about releasing trauma. I'm learning about it since about over a year ago, about traumatic growth and how a lot of people that are successful in life, they learn how to release trauma quickly, so I was like, well, okay, let me take the opportunity. And it was definitely well worth it, because I wasn't at that point, the trauma that I was talking about wasn't the fire. It was other stuff that I was going through in life. And I was like, oh, dang, I didn't know. And then, the relief that you get after doing it, I was like, dang, I was holding on to that. That for sure I was holding on to it, because I feel so much better now, and I think that, and they're looking for a couple of more Black men to come to the sessions. So
what day?
I don't know how to reach out. We decided, since yesterday was the first day, we decided every Wednesday at 7:00 we're going to be meeting up. But I'm just particularly looking for, and it's particularly for Black men, because they were pointing out that we don't like. He was like, well, there's only about 5 of us over the last 5 years, and 2 are about to graduate. So there's only 3 now, and that's only 25 per class. So we got about 100 to 150 students over the last 5 years, and only less than 5%, less than 2.5% are African American. So it's just an eye opener, because if that's all there is when it comes to a therapist, then you can only imagine how many of us show up to therapy. So
next to none.
I can tell you right now, I'm going through some trauma.
You said what?
With all this stuff, I said I can tell you right now, I'm going through some trauma with all this stuff that's going on. And
come to the session, man.
I think I will. And the reason why I asked if this was one of your vendors, because this person was at your thing, and they're giving 10 free sessions for family.
Yeah.
So I thought it was that.
But I definitely wanted to connect you with him. He is a Black brother and a pastor as well. So he's learning to be a therapist.
Yeah, share the info so we can share it with everybody else.
I have the business card right next to me.
No, whenever you get a chance, man. Whenever you find it.
Yeah. So
just send a message or something. We'll definitely use it.
Yeah.
I think it's really good.
I know I got a whole lot going on.
Or wanting to step up and provide therapy for the community, especially like the kids, the special needs individuals that have different abilities, and then individualized male and or female. Now, traditionally in Black and brown communities, therapy is still in 2025 and a half almost taboo, right? More people are getting into it because our next generation is all about it. They wear their feelings out in the open on their sleeves and everything else. And they're like, look, we're not our ancestors in a bunch of ways, not just like you talk crazy to them, like whatever, and say whatever. We're not those ones, right? But it's about the therapy too, because so long, for so many generations, people have what stays in the house, what happens in the house stays in the house, all this kind of stuff. But then there was molestations and rapes and, incestual stuff, right? That happened. An uncle, that one uncle that don't know what they want to be around, that one cousin that everybody, when they come over for Thanksgiving, everybody's over here and he's over there. That one auntie because aunties do it too, right? Or whatever, right? It's not just male, but happens with females. And so there's been so much trauma that was passed down, and it is because of slavery, right? When there was buck breaking in the square, that happened in the open, but when they went back to wherever their quarters were, you better not talk about that, right? Because of the shame and all this stuff, and the rapes that happened with slave owners, and then they would take their kids and kill them, but then the woman would have engorged breasts because she just delivered a baby, but that's so she can nurse the white lady's baby, right? So things like that. But then it wasn't talked about, and it was kept quiet. And so nowadays, this newer generation is like, no, we're not keeping quiet. We're going to talk about it. We're going to go to therapy. And then we know that in the Black church, it's always been, oh, baby, you need Jesus. Well, you do, but you need therapy too, right? And so go and get what you need. And if there are people or groups that are saying, hey, we're here, we want to give you 10 sessions of therapy for your family, we want to do this, we want to do that, take it, because it's needed. I was in the military, as everybody knows, in the Air Force, and I didn't even go to, because my body forced me, 33 years after I had been I am an MST survivor and thriver, but that's military sexual trauma. So for women that are raped in the military, like you've seen over the years, women have been raped and murdered because they don't want it to get out, because the culture, the molestation and rape culture in the military is horrific, right? And military is like its own world. And so when you have been military sexual trauma because one of these things has happened to you, you are told you don't talk about it, because if you do, you're discharged. As a woman, they'll discharge you. You get 100% disability or whatever, but most of us don't want to be discharged. We want to serve, right? And so I couldn't say nothing, and I didn't. I never said a thing to my parents, to my ex-husband, my children, nothing. And then in 2017, I got a job up in Monterey on a base. And one of my colleagues would see me, and for 3 weeks in a row, he was like, "Did you go to the VA yet?" And I was like, "Man, leave me alone." He was like, "No, you have PTSD." I was like, "No, I don't." And I was snapping at people, right? So once I did go, I was diagnosed not only with PTSD, severe PTSD, but then CPTSD. I was like, well, what the hell is that? And that's complex PTSD. And then I went through 2 years of pretty intense therapy, right? And I just finished some more therapy because called my therapist like, hey, I need to talk, you know. And so therapy is so needed, but whether you've been in the church, in the military, or just our community, it's not something that has always been offered or encouraged. And so now people do it. And now, you know, you can talk about things that have happened to you because you've released it. And if you don't address it and then release it, once you get to a place that you can, you hold it and your body remembers trauma. And so that's what was happening with me. I was going off, snapping on people. And one of my colleagues who was a vet was like, dude, I see it all over you. You got PTSD. If you don't get there, I'm going to call the VA. He threatened me for 3 weeks. And he asked me each week. And
he's like, giving you more PTSD.
Right. He was like, did you go? I was like, no, I didn't go. I don't need to go. He was like, yes, you do. I was like, no, I don't. I was going on. I was mad. So by the third week, he was like, well, I had held on to something for 33 years that my body could no longer hold, right? And so it was manifesting. So when I did go through therapy and I finally told my parents, my mother was like, that's what's been wrong for all these years, right? Because she saw something like
you
this.
Knew something was going on.
Yeah. But of course, you know, the shame and all that, and you're not going to tell nobody. And then in the military, they threaten you. Like if something happened at one base and you got orders to go to another one, if you talk about it, we're going to tell ahead before you get there. And your reputation basically is ruined. And that's how military just is. And it's unfortunate. But, and so, yeah, I can call the VA right now if I need to. You know, you guys know I always go for appointments because now they have to take care of me because it's been fully diagnosed and all that. And when I need to, I go. But for so long, we haven't. So I encourage the three of you gentlemen, if y'all need therapy, bruh, go get it. I need it. And Brian, I know you do. And so you have that flyer, call them and sign up. And go get those 10 free sessions because we think we can handle it and we really can't. And these therapists are well trained in how to get us to
find myself snapping at people.
Yeah, call them.
Me and Jamal, we've been knowing each other for years. I never
let me grab
dude. Ever.
Let me go grab
but
that
sometimes we go at it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that part is healthy, though, too, because we're open enough and know each other enough to be able to go through that level of, you know, conversation, snappage. But I mean, you know, we still respect one another. Ain't like we gonna square up and do something crazy like that. We just speak our mind. We get frustrated and then we, you know, move on.
To be honest, Jamal has been my therapist for 30 years.
You're not the only one that can say that.
He'll be like, all right, man, let it go. Okay, stop talking about that. The more you talk about it, like, you know how Jamal is, Tony. He's real calm. Just
right.
And I mean, sometimes he ain't never really complained to me about nothing. I'm like, do you get some trauma, brother? You can always tell me. He's like, no. But it was man. I was like,
you know.
Okay.
Hey, I was able to post
also,
that
I just want to point out that we.
Go ahead, Lionel. Sorry.
I wanted to point out. Yeah, sorry about that. That we did it in a group, so people were saying the same story, and I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm dealing with my kid's mother too." Like, oh shit. Well, let me tell mine. You know, and that made it a little bit more easier because you saw everybody else saying the same thing. And I was like, I didn't know. I came a little bit late, so I was like, I thought that's what we were talking about. But really, they were just talking about how the fire affected them as well as additional things. So I kind of, and then I circle back into how the fire was affecting me. So, but I thought that was real powerful.
Right.
But yeah, I'll shoot.
The therapists are so well trained in whatever they are, whether they're for children, adults, men, women, whatever, that again, they'll do a deep dive where you just thinking, oh, I'm gonna go talk about this. And like you said, Lionel, now we're talking about, oh, I'm dealing with this with my baby's mom or this or that. And what you realize, if you're in group therapy, I had to do 2 years of just straight intense one-on-one therapy because it was a lot to unpack, 33 years and all the stuff that happened. But group therapy, if you choose that, if you don't want group therapy, don't get it. Because I know I wasn't ready for group therapy when I started. I was like, ain't no way I'm gonna sit around and talk about what happened to me, while I served with a bunch of other people. And it was like a co-ed group because it was veterans. I was like, with men, and men did this to me, like, ain't no way, right?
Yeah,
and
so
that's
trauma itself.
Ours is separate. Yeah.
Exactly. So
There's levels to it. Right?
When you call them, you say, if they say, okay, we can do this group. If you're not ready to share, say, no, I can't do a group right now. I'm not ready. I've never done therapy.
Yeah.
I don't want a group. But if you do a group session and you sit around, you will know and find out you're not alone. And there's so many, because a lot of times, the enemy tries to isolate us and make us think we're alone in what we're going through. There are so many people going through similar situations and have had similar traumas, obviously not the exact same because they're not you and your individual thing, but we're really not alone in what we go through. And we will tend to draw back and want to isolate when we should be around people. So if you get in a group, that's great. And you will find that out, like you said, Lionel, you did. And if you're not ready for group therapy, let them know I'm not ready to move into group therapy yet. And they may say, okay, let's do the first 6 sessions of, individual one-on-one.
Getting to know you, yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And then after that, they'll ask, are you ready? You think you want to try a group? And you can when you're ready. But it's so worth it. And to be able to
the lady that you brought on, Tony, Tanisha, that I listen intently to that because, a lot of times the best people to start these programs are people who have experienced it.
Yeah.
The thing that the program helps.
Yep.
They know firsthand what people need.
Right.
Oh, for the DV, the DV Shepherd's Door. Yeah.
Shepherd's Door.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she was a domestic, she is a domestic violence survivor. And that's what I don't like. I had to learn when I wrote my book, which I wrote a book called Becoming Me, the Reclamation, because I was reclaiming my life from what had happened that I held on to for 33 years. And so I talk about what PTSD is, what CPTSD is, and how you all as lay people who may have a family member, you can read through the book and go, oh, they're doing this. Oh, they're doing that. Because I realized for me, and I realized like had my parents or somebody had this book, they might have been like, okay, sister girl, we're going to call somebody or you need to go, right? And when I look back on like conflicts I had on old jobs or with people, I'm like, all these years, it was because I never dealt with this. And it was literally eating me up on the inside. But I also still had this, you can't say nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the way the culture is in the military. And I was also in law enforcement. So, you can't be no punk and, all this kind of stuff. And one phrase that I absolutely hate that was said to me a lot was suck it up, buttercup. And when you link that with the trauma that happened to you, and then somebody tells you after they've traumatized or victimized you to suck it up, you'd be like, no, I'm ready to blow your head off instead of that.
That's what I was going through. Verbal.
Give me a clip real quick.
Physical.
Yeah.
Just verbal. Just the downing of you. The shutting you down. Like the never listening to you. Or you let them talk, and then when it's your turn to respond, they cut you off.
The narcissist.
Gaslighting. And I'm like sitting here going, I had put a post up. Remember, Jamal?
I do remember that.
I was like, I'm tired of being single. I want to be talked to in a bad way, condescendingly, and taken for granted. It was a joke. It was a joke.
Her psychology.
Right. It's like, I don't want any of that. I'd rather sit alone on a mountain and be silent than to have to get involved in a relationship where the verbal abuse is just going to be and I was trying to cry out to people in my post, but not necessarily like the one post that I put up where you see the girl hollering at the guy, but instead of you seeing her talking, you see darts coming out of her mouth and stabbing him all in the chest. That's how I felt. I felt like anything I said was not going to be taken seriously. I didn't know what I was talking about. I don't have an experience. I don't know what it's like. And I'm like, I don't want to be with anybody.
Yeah.
I just don't. I was like, at that point, I was like, eh. But the one I'm with now, she's a very good, kind person. You know,
that's
there's
good.
nothing, I don't have any problems with her.
She's way different from your past experiences. It's a good fit right now. It's a good fit.
She lives in the slow lane. And I'm trying to hurry up and get on the on-ramp and pass her when I should just be following right behind.
Yeah, you need to slow down.
Yeah.
Roll with her.
Relationship is how you finish it.
Huh?
Say it again.
Just the time. And they say how you start a relationship is how you finish it. So if you're allowing the narcissism in the beginning, that's exactly how it's going to end.
You don't know that it's actually there until you're in it deep. Now you're going, okay, so
they say hindsight is 20/20.
Like,
let me tell you.
Wait a minute, I really don't like this.
That's if
but I feel like
go on. I'm sorry, Lionel.
I feel like it's going to show itself in little tiny ways in the beginning, and if we let little things slide, then over time they amount to something big.
You got to get to a point where you're perceptive enough to recognize that. And sometimes that what happens is you got to have some age, some experience, and some failures or some pain in order to recognize, hey, either I don't like this, or I'm not going to go through this, or this does work for me, or it doesn't. So, I mean, I agree with everything you guys are saying, but I think it takes time to recognize it.
Holding on to trauma, but that's all I'm gonna say.
We
don't get help with our trauma, so now we're holding on to it.
Right.
And then we're accepting it from other people.
If you know yourself, and I know folks who know themselves at 25, 30, like really well. And I'm like, what the heck? But once you do some deep work on yourself and you know yourself and you have those non-negotiables, baby, that is not going to work for me. Right. And if you, like he said, you allow something or you don't, and you're right, you have to have discernment, because if you don't, I met somebody recently and instantly he started talking and I was like, okay, I'm good. Right? Really? I mean, within a couple of conversations, I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. Because I know at 59, what I will and won't deal with, what I will and won't put up with, what I will and won't do for someone. Right? And I know pretty quickly in now, instead of wasting time and wasting 3 and 6 months and then I'm all in my feelings. No, ma'am. No, sir. Well, not no, ma'am. No, sir.
My brakes don't even sound like that. Get out of here.
My brakes stop quick. Like, bye-bye. So yeah, you're right, Lionel. Knowing yourself, doing the deep work, like you said, Jamal, having the discernment or really knowing and having some wisdom, whether you're 30, 40, 50, whatever. But looking at a past mistake, or won't even call a person or a situation a mistake. We were in it. Hopefully we've learned from it when we've gotten out of it. And when those little red flags start to come up, we go, nope, they're there and I see them and I'm not going to ignore them this time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't realize, especially when you're whatever age you are, but early on when you experience things for the first time, sometimes you just don't know that they're red flags until you then realize they're red flag. Huh?
You think that's when you're in lust. You think you're in love and you realize later that was none but a bunch of lust. Because you learn what real love is later as you go, right? But yeah, you're right.
But it even goes beyond those kind of relationships though too, because even in work situations, people will say things that turn out to be really toxic to you. You put up with it for a while until you realize what's really happening and how it affects you or what have you. And then later on, if you get into another type of similar professional experience or situation, you recognize it, you could stop it early on, like, hey, nope, I recognize this, not going to mess with this anymore. I think the beauty also of therapy, obviously, it's high priority for you as an individual to be able to lead your life in a very healthy way or manner, but it's also for those folks that you can't get away from, such as parents, siblings, I won't say spouses, but even kids and what have you. But more importantly, some, because you can get away from your spouse, technically. But for full transparency, I had a situation with my dad. My dad, for a number of years, like, long story short, wasn't there. A lot of it had to do with turned out that it had to do with his relating to himself. He grew up in a time, that machoism, black power, men don't cry, got to be tough, womanizing, all that kind of stuff, right? And what happened was, instead of him being able to deal with the actual feelings that he was feeling and being able to express himself, he kept it packed in, turned to alcohol, turned to all kind of stuff. So a lot of stuff happened, but I didn't know all of this stuff until some pretty traumatic things happened later in life, and come to find out that he got that therapy and that help that he needed so he can express himself. When he was able to share that information for me being the guy that I am, if I can understand what's happening, I can deal with it a lot better. I have a problem with not understanding when stuff is kind of off. But when I figured out what, for the relationship I have with my dad, it got 100 times better as soon as I understood what was happening, because again, I understood what was happening. I could relate to him. And it's like, oh, that's why you weren't ever there, or this happened and that happened and what have you. It's like, okay, cool. But then you also realize how beneficial getting that help is, because that stuff he didn't even know he was dealing with. I mean, it's obviously, there's a lot to it that he had to unpack from childhood and all this other stuff, but it makes sense. And then if you're around friends and family or whatever, that you can have that experience with them, maybe that can help you in terms of taking that next step if you haven't done it already, or help you deal with stuff because you can pull up, oh yeah, I remember when so-and-so went through this and we shared this experience. Now I can parlay that to my situation. So it's beautiful. And therapy comes in many different shapes and sizes and forms as well. There's the official ones that we're talking about, but there's other ways you can do it too. Like me and B, like he says, he can tell me about anything. I've always told him, just get the shit off your chest, man. That's the best thing, best start. And then you can move forward and figure some stuff out. So if you have someone you can talk to, that's amazing. And just be honest and just let it out. Say it again. What she said?
I was looking at the comments.
Oh.
But let me chime in on that. My and just to make it short, my dad grew up an orphan in Belize. Okay, so his mom and his father abandoned him. There was a huge age gap between his mom and his father. So boo thing situation where he was abandoned and my grandma adopted him. He passed away at the age of 60. Okay. Ironically, I don't know too much about my real about my mom. I mean, my dad's mom. I'll say it like that. And my grandfather. I don't know too much. He didn't speak about him. But I did know that he passed away at the same age as my father. So what I'm saying is, and it was from a heart condition. Me personally, and they never diagnosed the heart condition. They just it's some type of heart condition. Me personally, I believe it was bent up trauma inside of him. Same thing with his father. So I'm not going to allow that to happen to me. So just seeing, I'm like, that stops here.
It'll kill you.
And so therapy is very necessary, you guys. I don't care how tough. And my dad was very, he was a very sharp and stern person, So just believing that just his mentality, how he grew up, he had to be a little bit tougher being on his own. So,
and you know what, Lionel?
I
agree with you with that, because my dad is going to be 88 in like 2 weeks or something, right, on the 30th. But he grew up in New Orleans, and he was one of 15. He's the last remaining one. But my grandpa wasn't no joke, and my grandma, because they had to, for having that many kids, right, be stern. Mm-hmm. My dad left home like at 15, hitchhiking to New York to go live with his uncle, who was a judge, so he could have a better life or whatever, right? But the fact is,
at the same age on the back of a pickup truck,
right? And so a lot of us that are here, our parents migrated from the South, right? Whether it was Georgia, whatever, and they dealt with the remnants of slavery, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, all that. And they dealt with the remnants of slavery. My dad was a butler for a while. So, he was called a boy and all that kind of foolishness, right? And then they migrated out here for a better life. And we've all had a much better life than they did. But some of that old trauma, they never dealt with because they couldn't, because they weren't, it was that keep it under the rug type thing, where now we have an opportunity, right? There weren't therapists like there are now back then either. We have an opportunity, and even our children have an opportunity to change from what that was, right? And so as long as we keep being open and talking about it, and look, this show was a recap, but now we all about therapy, which is fabulous, because that's what's needed, and that's how we just flow on the show. But it's so important that people go and get what they need. And if it's therapy, go get it, because there are residual stuff from our parents, from our grandparents, whatever, that have been passed down, and that doesn't make it healthy or right. And so we have to be willing to make those changes.
Yeah, my dad has been my rock. I mean, he has always been understanding. He doesn't judge. I could come to him with stuff and he'll listen. Sometimes I don't want him to say anything. I just want him to hear what I got to say, and that's it. It's over. But, there's only two people I can really go to, him and Jamal. It's not, I don't have too many people I go tell my drama to, because number one, it'll come back to me all convoluted if I say it to certain people.
Right.
I heard you was having some problems. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But yeah, I fully understand. I mean, I fully believe in communication is the key. Yeah. If you don't talk to me and you let something slide, and then a month later you let this slide, then 2 months later you let this slide, and then by the time the 15th thing comes and you're talking about that first thing that I forgot about,
communication, except for 5:36 in the morning.
Like, I'm gonna start sleeping in the garage.
Brian, you need to talk. Wake up.
You'll be like, nope.
It happens anyway.
Oh, by the way, that Foothill Flourish flyer,
I was
able to put it on our community.
What did you say, Lionel?
It's not really a flyer, because it's kind of
no. We're talking about this one.
I was talking about the one that Brian was showing.
Okay.
I found it on Facebook. Yeah, I found it on Facebook and put it on our community page. But the information you're going to share, I want to get it on there too. So the card, you can tell the information. I'll see if I can find the website.
I took a picture
and Corie, you got to start listening
on his Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'll send it. I'll forward it to you.
What's the name? Oh, okay. Never mind. That's cool.
Yeah, Corie, these kids.
I know it's backwards. I sent it to Brian.
Yeah, that was perfect.
But
Damon.
Yeah, but you call, and I believe this is his extension, primarily for Black men. But I sent it to Brian. I sent a picture of it running back to Brian's Facebook.
I'll forward it to you, Jamal.
Okay, cool. We'll get that information on there.
Definitely worth it. I didn't know something I didn't know. I did know, but I didn't know because I was just learning about traumatic growth versus traumatic trauma. And the faster you release something is the faster that you can level up yourself.
Yep.
That is I didn't like once I heard of, I don't know if you guys know Billy Carson or if you ever heard about him. But anyways, he's
I have.
he was saying he was talking about traumatic growth, and that's what he went through as a young kid, and that's what established some of his success early on. Releasing trauma as fast as possible. And I think that's what we need in Altadena. Because
all those that I know.
If we hold on to it, because the victims of 9/11, there was a therapist that said that if they don't get therapy, the people on 9/11, we did the statistics, and 4 years later, it shows up as cancer. It shows up as a disease. It shows, it will show right back up because you'll repeat anything you don't learn from. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Again, your body will hold it in all areas, in your organs, in your bone, in your brain. Your body will hold trauma. And I have learned not just holding something 33 years and then getting to the release point, but even last year I called a friend of mine who's an amazing therapist, and we did about 6 months. And one of the first things he said, even with the disagreement with somebody, that's why before our call, I had a quick vent session with the fellas and got it out, right?
About that's what we do before we even start this. That's our therapy.
Right.
And what you saw
we'll talk
earlier,
about why I dealt with this or whatever, and you get it out. But he said within 30 seconds of a conflict, it could be an inner conflict just in your brain. It could be with somebody you have an argument, whatever. He says, stop. And forgive whatever it is, whether it's yourself or that person, and then release it, let it go. Because if you don't, it's going to take hold and it will then infect, grow. It will exactly. So that's the traumatic, not growth that way, but where it will, manifest in other ways versus releasing it. You can, and about a year ago, I had a bunch of stuff, maybe a year and a half ago. And the Lord literally one day at 2 a.m. woke me up and was like, when you get up tomorrow, it was a rainy and I love my fireplace on, right? Get up, find notepad and write the names of people that have done you wrong that you need to forgive and release. And literally put dear so-and-so, whatever their name was, comma, I forgive and release you. And he said, and burn it in the fire. Well, I got to working, I got all these monitors, forgot. My son was like, hey, Mom, I'm going to leave for work, but I know because it's raining, you like your fire, I'm going to start your fire. That to me was a nudge from God, like, see, you up here working and forgot. So right then I was like, okay, I did it. And I probably had 20 to 30 pieces of paper and I put them in that. And by the time I put that last one, every time I felt like I had less of a burden and I could breathe better and I could breathe deeper. And so when I need to, I'll put my fireplace on and I'll write something down and be like, okay, even forgiving and releasing myself, which we're harder on ourselves even than other people a lot of times. So whatever your method is, whether it's meditation, whether it's prayer, whether it's burning the fire and saying it, doing it, whatever.
Or all of the above.
All of them. Stopping immediately.
I was going to say that.
You have to release. Because when you don't release it, you're going to be a hot mess. And I have learned that and now have growth because I'm like, I got to vent real quick. I got to get it out, whatever. Then I can breathe, I can forgive, and I can move on.
It's funny. I do that when I drive. You know how a lot of times they talk about, road rage and what have you. I, and Brian can attest to this as well. And anybody who talks to me while I'm driving, I'll be driving, we'll have a conversation, and I'll just start cussing somebody out, or I'll yell at them or what have you. But I feel, and some people, they say that's road rage. I feel like if I don't let it out, then I will have road rage. And then I'll be mad because somebody did something stupid. But as soon as I let it out, I laugh internally. Then I think, oh, okay, something must be going on with them that I don't know about. So let me let it go. I'm safe. They're safe. Let's keep it pushing. So it's funny when I do that.
I'm gonna call it road rage and release because you road raging, you cussing them out, and you releasing.
But you're not road raging to where you're pulling up next to the person and going off on them because that's dangerous.
Or like that dude who got out on the freeway and hit people with a pipe. He went to jail. Do you remember that off the 2 freeway a number of years ago? He went to jail. Then he did it again in Hawaii.
Last week, and he's arrested again. He had a 5-year sentence and got out in 2 because California overcrowding. Went to Hawaii, did it, hit a lady and her daughter. I said, see, that's the one that I'd have pulled out on, and he'd be laid out. He'd be laid out forever.
That's why you don't push it in front of people.
Yeah, you don't know who you messing with. That's why I just yell in the car.
Lay down.
All right,
I used to have road rage bad when I was younger. I would stop on the freeway if somebody you tailgate me, I just stop. Get out the car. Talk to you.
That LA traffic, it's therapy in itself.
Oh, I'm on the 134 and we doing about 80. I just slow all the way down to a stop in the middle lane. Get out. Now I just go ahead on, dude. Just go ahead on here. I'm gonna move out your way so that you can rush to the accident. Please be my guest. I'm not even that way no more. I do scream in the car, but I ain't gonna scream at you.
Yeah, I used to have a race. And now I do the same thing. I'll be like, oops, sorry, or whatever. And if I do something right, but it's just like, go on, it ain't even worth it. And it's definitely not worth your life because people nowadays have extremely short tempers and a lot of people are carrying.
You don't know what people are going through, and you did that, and now they just like that made them snap, took them over the edge.
But going back to the part of releasing it, and getting the therapy and whatever that release is, most people who actually do that for the first time say, I wish I'd have done it sooner. So get to that point. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and get to a point where you can release it so that you get in the habit of doing so. You can get that crap out your system. You can live a lot healthier life physically and mentally, psychologically, emotionally, all that stuff. Because it's going to be beneficial, obviously, to you, but those around you as well, because it becomes infectious in a good way. Because if you're able to do it and be honest and open and share and show somebody that it's okay to maybe go talk to somebody and get help, then it'll be okay for them to do it too. And then, as they say, they'll tell someone and they'll tell someone and, and so forth. So it's a good thing.
Well, one of the reasons why we even have this podcast is to be able to get the information out to people that need these type of resources, and at the same time we have our nonprofit so that we could actually put on events, which we'll probably be doing this summer. Have vendor therapists there. I mean, something for the kids. I don't want it to be all businessy all the time because we're tired. People get tired of it. Like
we're not all business all the time. We like to have fun, right?
That Ashes to Anthem event
was awesome.
Perfect outlet for the trauma, the stuff that we've been experiencing with these fires. You got to relax for one day. You got to see all the different types. We had builders, we had mental health, we had all kinds of stuff. It was great. I loved it. I had a ball. I didn't care that it rained because I was going to be there anyway in support of Victory Bible and Tony and, all her efforts. I mean, in the beginning, when this all started, Tony was like my rock. She didn't know it, but she was, but I was trying to find information to post because I really wanted to help. And I didn't know where to go. I started seeing her pop-ups. I said, I'm sharing that. And I wouldn't say anything. I said, check this out. Ooh, wow. Now, I don't want you to read what I'm saying. I want you to go read what she's saying. And we finally was just like, I said, Jamal, we need to get her on the show. And then you did such a good job, Jamal. We need to make her a permanent fixture. We don't want her on. We want her on our side.
I tell you, I feel like a Jamaican with all my jobs and stuff. But you know what? It's for our community, so
it's giving you life to do all.
It really is.
Yeah, it's beneficial to you too.
My life has completely changed since January 7th, 8th, right? And like all of us. And I never thought I'd be a podcaster. I've had people in the past say, you should be a podcaster. You should be a politician. You should be a lawyer. You should be on TV. And I'm like, no. And yes, it gives me life to be here every day, to vet people, to deep dive and figure out what's what. And
we don't want people misleading people.
No. And my whole career path is changing in the next 30 days anyway, because I got a call this morning and I will be becoming chief of staff of a company in about 30 days. And so, yeah. Awesome. So, and we'll talk about that later, but thank you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my whole life is changing and that's the season I'm in. And so I'm flowing with it, right? I'm just like, all right, God, what's happening today? Because it's your agenda, not mine. And I'm just rolling with it. And I did get a email yesterday from Dr. Vicky at UCLA, the one that, we submitted the grant for. She wants me literally to talk to her students. which is
Nice.
bananas to me. But she's like, can you do a Zoom call and talk to the students in my class that are about, and I'm like, what?
About
like,
what?
whole PhD teaching the whole class at UCLA, and you asking me to come talk to them? So every day there's something new, and I just keep saying yes. And like Lionel calling me last week saying, Tony, can you? And I said yes. And
you didn't realize what you was getting yourself into, Lionel, when you asked her to come on there.
Well, what they say, that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
It was a good thing.
And it is what it is. But one of the things I talked about, Lionel, and you didn't mention here, but I did say it yesterday. Not yesterday, because I wasn't on yesterday. 2 days ago was Mr. Eddie White, the guy that I met that talked about Boxables.
Yeah.
And, and you know, there were some times, I don't know if you saw me or if you were upstairs where I was behind him shaking my head no, because he was talking about,
you know, I definitely saw that.
right, because he was like, subdivide your lot. I was like,
and cause more taxes?
Huh? Right. He was like, and put a Boxabl back here and then rent it later as an ADU.
Or subdivide.
I want people to be very mindful before you do something that someone at one of these events says, right? Mm-hmm. Because it took a lot for folks to get these properties in Altadena. And we know the value of the land in Altadena. And so if you can hold out, and one of the things I think I started talking about, and they came and took the mic, I think it was Lionel or Naja, but I was talking about there are groups, Mennonites and Hope Recovery, that are authorized in the state that when you get to the point where you only have your lot, you have $100 in the bank or $5 or whatever, and think you will never be able to rebuild, you will be able to rebuild. They will rebuild your house at no cost. That's from the mega donors that are going to give big money that's coming down the pipe. So please don't sell or subdivide because you think, oh, this is the only way I can get money to rebuild, because that's not the case. So sometimes people come, and he said flat out, I work for Boxabl. He's a representative for them. So of course, any Boxables that come to Altadena that come through him, he'll get a commission or whatever on, right? But he did make a point of, if you need it, there are two ways you can do Boxabl. One is you could purchase, whether it's the small casita, which is $50,000, on up to the 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 900 square feet, whatever, which he said with soft cost was about $125,000. That would entail getting a foundation poured, and they put it permanently there that you could use as an ADU or whatever later. You would have to have your electrical, your plumbing, all that added, right? Or there's one like that casita that is all encompassed. Boxables literally come like this flat, and they open up all 4 walls, and the whole thing is inside, right? You can go to boxabl.com and see them. You could see the videos and everything, but it's like a bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, washer, dryer, all of this. But the thing about Boxabl, he said, with that, if you want to live like your ALE, right, your additional living expenses from your insurance, or you're a renter, and the house is being rebuilt and your landlord says you could live there again. Once the lot is cleared and considered not toxic, if people want to live on their lot because they don't have money for an Airbnb or a hotel or whatever anymore, you have choices of renting a trailer, a motorhome, or whatever, and Boxabl. And if you do it that way, they will bring a Boxabl on wheels that won't have to be a permanent fixture, but it can sit there while you are living in it until your house is rebuilt. What he also said, and I did not know, was FEMA has money for that. So if you're in that situation and all your other stuff from the insurance and all the other money is gone, you can work with Boxabl and FEMA, where FEMA will come and put that Boxabl on your lot to live in until you're rebuilt. And the state of California just recently approved Boxabl for that with California and FEMA. So he gave good information there. The other thing he said was, and it's what Infinite One was the name of his company, I believe. But
yes,
he's working with the grandson of Paul Williams, who built LA and has all the mid-century modern looking homes. I spoke with Kendra this morning because she had to call me about some other stuff. And one of the clients that she has in Altadena was wanting one of those plans because he said that the grandson has all the plans and will sell them to people. So she said she's going to forward me the email, but they're kind of out of reach because the way that this grandson is selling the original plans is if you go with them to build one of those homes, the plans obviously will be part of the build, but it starts at $550 a square foot. If you choose to not go with them to build that house, but you just want the plans, they're selling them for $400 a square foot. And I said, wait a minute, you got 1,000 square foot house. They want to sell you Paul Williams plans for that house. That's $400,000. Like that eats up your budget to build. And the thing about it is those plans from the 50s and whenever he built those houses in 60s aren't up to today's codes. Mm-hmm. So you can't sell somebody plans that much. You might say, okay, here's your original plans for 10 grand, but they're going to have to be modified by your builder anyway because of the new codes and the doorways and the accessible bathrooms and the hallways being larger. Those plans are basically like for naught. So you'd be spending all that money to buy some plans that then you'd have to have your own architect and engineer modify and redo those plans. I said it'd be better to tell your builder, I want my house to look like this. Find a Paul Williams house online, right? And say, this is the picture that I want the outside to look like. And then your designer or architect do all the bones and the structure and all of that correct. And the facade looks like Paul Williams. Right. I was like, what? She said, I'm going to send you the email because my client sent it to me. I'm going to, close off, take away her information, but I'm going to screenshot you the exact quote. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So be careful when people come in at these events and say, oh, I'm working with someone and they'll do the plans or sell you. He's not selling Paul Williams plans for 10, 20,000. It's 400 square foot if you don't go with them. And if you do go with them,
taking all your money.
Taking all the money.
There's no point in that.
Right. So that's the kind of stuff that, I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to try to find out. I'm going to have conversations and then bring it here so people can at least be aware if, yes, they like that design. Basically, you'd spend $400,000 to get plans that you could frame and put on your wall from Paul Williams. Because your person's going to have to go and redo everything on them anyway. And then you got to be, which might cost another $500,000 or $600,000, who knows? So just be mindful and careful that when someone, you go, oh, I love these designs, or this person, make sure you get down and ask the questions and get down to the bottom of it so that you're protected and you're okay yourself. Dang, Jamal and Brian. Anyway, I'm just messing. We have these internal messages. And I'm just messing with them. You just saw it.
Hey, when you gotta deal with it, you gotta deal with it. Yes.
Well, anywho,
I went and rode my bike not my bike, Sherry's bike. I went and rode that today. I was getting, the juices flowing.
That's something, Lionel, that I know you guys didn't know. You know what I mean? When you brought him to the event. And that's why, like our events, I try to have those conversations with the people first and say, what exactly?
We vet them first.
I vet them. I have the conversations and I ask them, what are you doing? Because if people had said, oh, well, I'm going to talk about, I'm working with the grandson and you can get these plans, I would have said, and how much are the plans? Are they affordable? Da, 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 da. Mm-hmm. And then that would have been something that I would have said, that's probably not right for this community, right? Or to do that. And then as Boxabl, that's fine. You can talk about Boxabl, but let people know you are a sales rep for them. And if they do get a Boxabl, obviously you're there, you'll get a commission. That kind of thing. Like Level 42 wants to be on, and I told him he can come on next Tuesday, but I got to call Matt today because we're going to have a real conversation. It's not just going to be you're a construction design firm.
I got to forward you some information that Lionel actually sent me for a person that he referred.
I got it yesterday, and I looked at it. And I'm like, what does this have to do with the price of tea in China? So Lionel, I haven't responded to your text yet just because I'm digesting. I'm going to go through it again. Only because my question is, that's great. The dude does lighting, does all this different electrical stuff, but I don't know for rebuilds if that's quite it. So I'm not saying no, he can't come on, but I need to get it right in my brain. Then I need to have a phone call with him.
Wrong, that's all.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna have a phone call, and if so, we'll do that. So yeah, but thank you for sending that. And
I'm just gonna say to the audience, anybody that you feel that people would benefit from having on the show, send us the information. We're going to go through the vetting process because we don't want somebody to come on here and start spitting some jargon or some rhetoric that has nothing to do with it. And then we have to do you like you being mid-sentence. Because it will. You'll go right back to the green room and have to listen.
Be listening to yourself, huh? No, we just really try. I gotta do some exercises. My neck look like it's trying to have some wrinkles.
So ever since that fire happened, Jamal, remember I was telling you I was having this pain right here and it wouldn't go away?
Yeah.
I just saw that. I'm sorry.
That pain since the fire. And it was probably some pent up stress. Dealing with stuff that, if the fire hadn't came and swept it out my life, I probably would still not know what it was that I was dealing with. It was causing the stiffness. I couldn't even get a haircut because when he laid me back to shave my beard and everything, I was in so much pain. And it's like, where is it coming from?
Yeah, that could be trauma that your body's holding. So you probably need to go get a massage or get checked out.
I was doing all that. That's the thing. It wasn't. Leave. And then that fire happened and my neck said, okay, we're gonna give you a break because your brain need to be doing all kind of stuff right now.
Yeah, take care of yourself, that's for sure, whether it's therapy, going to the doctor, whatever, because you just don't know.
You don't. I mean, just like when I had the cancer situation in 2020 and I had been dealing with this pain in my side for 10 years. But it came to a head in November. I was sick for 3 weeks. Finally found out what it was. Took 8 months to get the colonoscopy because it was COVID. So, now I'm stressful for 8 months. I got cancer. Oh, what am I going to do? But then everything went well. But I became an advocate for men over 45 to please go get your every 3 to 5 years, go get a colonoscopy. Go find out what's going on within your body. Because colon cancer, intestinal cancers, prostate cancers all creep up on you to the point where it's too late.
Yeah. Well, men, period, should go to the doctor regularly. Men typically don't go until something is wrong. Where women...
Black men hardly ever go to the doctor because we feel that we can handle the situation and we're supposed to be men and we're supposed to be tough.
Let me tell you,
and with therapy.
I hope he ain't even home. If he is, he'll probably get mad at me. I have a son who's 28. My son is in great shape. My son was having some breathing problems. He was born with asthma, grew out of it, all this. He likes to travel. He took a solo trip to Japan to snowboard in February, came back, and I didn't know for like a week or 2 weeks, he had been having night sweats. I didn't know anything that was going on. But he's close with his first cousin, and his cousin told him, dude, you got good insurance. You work for UPS, go to the doctor. He did. The doctor, I got a call saying, Mom, I got to go to the emergency room because I just went to the doctor because this hasn't gone away. And she says, I have TB. So he went to the emergency room and they put him in isolation. He was in the hospital for 2 weeks straight, from March 6th for 2 weeks. It took him 10 days to find out it wasn't TB. And they said, oh, you have valley fever. I'm like, what the hell is valley fever, right? So valley fever is in all the southwestern part of the country, like New Mexico, Arizona, California, and it goes up the coast. It is a fungus that spreads through spores. And apparently he did go to Yosemite in November with some friends camping for a week. Apparently he caught it then. We had no clue. And it eats up and attacks stuff in your body. Well, it was fully in his lungs and he couldn't breathe and they saw it and thought it was TB. He's been off work since March. He has had surgery, and they've had to drain, spinal tap, all kinds of stuff because it's in different parts of his body. I asked the doctor 2 weeks ago when I went with him to an appointment. The doctor was like, he's very fortunate that he's so young and healthy. I said, well, what if he wasn't as healthy? Or I got ready to say older. He said he'd be dead. I didn't even finish the sentence. He said he'd be dead by now. You would have been burying your kid. I was like, what? Because this fungus, it's not a bacteria that medication can just get rid of the bacteria. It's a fungus, and it's spreading throughout the body. Because he don't go to the doctor. Because I feel fine, right? So I had never heard of valley fever, right? I'm like, what in the world? He's on medication. He is getting better. He's had surgery. We don't know when to go back to work or whatever. And they don't have a, like, oh, it'll be fully out of his body or whatever right away. Y'all, please go to the doctor. Gentlemen, please go to the doctor. Because we don't know what's out there, just like we didn't know COVID. We knew something was going on before they announced it, right? Because people got sick the year before. People died the year before, but we didn't know. I'd never heard of valley fever. I'm just finding out and learning about it now. Look it up, find out. It's in spores. You could be out in the dirt. You could be somewhere and don't even know. But go to the doctor, get your regular checkups. Women, we have our annual well woman. We have, our mammograms. We have all this stuff. Please go to the doctor, y'all. Just do an annual checkup, if nothing else. Get your blood tested. For men, prostates. We got to get our tatas done and our other stuff, hoo-ha's checked. Y'all need to check this stuff, because if you don't, something could come and creep up on you that you've never heard of or have no clue that could be trying to take your life.
Yep.
And could take your life. Because this valley fever, they said this doctor that did his surgery is a City of Hope cancer doctor. And the reason it took them 10 days to find out, they've never seen a case like this. And then that they've had to do surgery. They were like baffled. LA County, everybody was like, they went to doctors, infectious disease, everything, Loma Linda, everywhere. And he ain't fully out the woods, right? But he's 28 and he's healthy. And they said that's what saved his life. Because had he not been as healthy or older, I'd be burying my kid. And so, y'all, please, whether it's physical health or mental health, go see somebody. Go to the doctor, get checked. Go to a therapist and get the help that you need, that we all need.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
And like I said, I'm probably going to get in trouble later. Because if you're in this room and he hears me, Mom, don't be tight, whatever. Hey. I'll deal with that. If it
he heard you.
It's on the interweb. It's there. And it's gonna help somebody. Somebody's gonna hear this, and it's gonna.
Be watching a show like this.
Yeah, back in 2017, actually got sick for like 5 months, and I went to Kaiser 3 times. They gave me medicine 3 times, and it didn't work 3 times. So I was coughing up mucus day and night, 10 times a day, 10 times a night. So I didn't know what it was, and it just when it stopped. So what I did is, since I couldn't really get help from my doctor, I went online and I found a Dr. Sebi student, and I started taking herbal cleanses, and that instantly got rid of whatever it was that was in my body that I couldn't get rid of for 5 months. So I started doing herbal cleanses, and since then I've just been on a journey from herbal cleanses to juicing, of course, exercising and everything else. So, but definitely taking care of you is number one.
Yeah.
And I've always had, like, growing up, I always had like hay fever. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. Hay fever.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Especially with the
so
pollen
my hay
count.
fever got the pollen, these trees and all that. Yeah, my hay fever, of course, is seasonal. Comes in and makes. Yeah, I had a bad attitude, at least guaranteed bad attitude for a period of time, twice a year, guaranteed. One time, my hay fever turned into, I was going through a lot of stuff. My hay fever turned into strep throat, and I was at work feeling like I was about to pass out and in the hallway walking. So it's very important to take care of yourself and see your doctor and look into doing herbal cleanse, mucus cleanse, but that's all. much it.
Yeah, no joke. And you even talked about the copper the other day, right? Last week, and the copper bracelets and different things that, yeah. And you're right. You know, mullein mucus, mullein tea or mullein drops. You can help get rid of mucus. There's all kind of, you know, burdock root, all kind of things that are natural that is what God made for us to have. And we put a lot of other stuff in our bodies with what we eat and drink, and it's not the best for us. And so got to stay healthy, because, man, something getting in your body, if you don't have the system to fight it off, it could take you out quickly.
Yeah, and you said your son works at UPS. I work at FedEx, right? But I'm in between because my body started pop locking when I was picking up some of the packages, and I'm like, you know what? Let me try to get some of this worker comp.
As long as it wasn't pop lock and dropping.
Well, you know, I pop locked and dropped the package. So,
you know what, Lionel? I just thought about something. We assume he might have got it at Yosemite, but maybe he didn't. It could have been off a package, because he's the supervisor for the drivers. So we don't know where he picked this at. But
it's a store, so it's gonna travel.
Exactly. Could have come from in the warehouse. Could have come from, but nobody knows, right? And the thing about it is, there's so much out there that we just don't know is out there. That if you don't take care of yourself and try to be as healthy as possible, we could get anything.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, definitely. And that's why I'm wearing these coppers, because my knee popped. I put on a copper fit, and my back popped. I'm like, yo, hold on, man. Wait a minute now. I can't just keep popping, you know. But you know,
hold up, wait a minute. Let me see this.
Definitely, copper definitely helps. I keep it on 24/7, you guys, and it keeps my muscle mass up. It keeps me. I'm just telling y'all, get some copper in your life. At least start there.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I pop lock, I stop in one position and I don't move.
Pop lock and stop it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the best thing about our show. We go from super serious, was in tears a couple minutes ago, choked up, to this, and get the levity back. Thank you, Jamal. We need it.
Hey, shout out to Turbo.
Okay, so let me tell y'all something. And we talked about
the robot.
Remember, what was it, Uncle Jam's Army at the convention centers?
Oh, yeah. God, I love those parties.
We were talking about that yesterday.
Oh, well, and my cousin Danae married Larry Bowens. They used to call him Black Michael Jackson, but
remember I found that too.
Yeah, put him up. What is his name? Mr. Stretch. LB Stretch. That's what he goes by. And Larry, we would have family functions, and Larry pop locks every day still today. Every single day.
Yeah, my boy does too. He puts videos up all the time. I'm like, as long as you keep moving, you're gonna stay limber.
Yeah, he and then they have these pop lock picnics still every day. And I'm just like, oh, I'd have to look on my Facebook to find them. But yeah, them pop lockers get it in still every day, which is amazing. Did we lose oh, there's Larry. When I tell you, every day I see something he posts on his wall, I'd be like, okay, Larry, every single day. Larry be in the garage, in the yard, whatever. And I'm almost 60. They're older than me. So he in his 60s, and Larry still pop likes.
Every day.
Ain't fat.
That's his workout.
It is. Oh no, Larry's never been fat. He always been tall and skinny.
Because you're moving all the time. Now you should have seen me when I was dancing back in those days. I was the skinniest dude you ever seen in your life.
So maybe you need to start pop locking again, huh?
I need to.
All of us. Maybe you need to start dancing, skating, whatever that we was doing back in the day.
Oh, that's what we was doing yesterday. I was showing Jamal the stuff that we used to do. I had this 8-minute video. It's pretty dope. Of all the clubs and the parties. You start off at Uncle Jam's, then went to Altadena.
What is that, Loma Alta? Yeah, Loma Alta Park doing that?
No, they live up in Palmdale area. He's probably outside the house somewhere, but I'm telling you, he does it every single day. Larry posts some on his wall. He'd be in the yard, he'd be in the garage, he'd be in the house. And then when we have family functions, you'd be like, Larry, and he gonna do something. But pops every day for real.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
All that music. People are like, why you listen to music? We used to listen to music. It was 140 beats per minute. It was fast.
Yeah.
Well, that's just like
fast.
I would never be able to pop lock probably, and I can never even figure out how to walk, right? But when I tell you, I follow this one IG called, I think it's West Coast Walk or something, and they be sea walking, and I love it, and I watch it all the time. And it be girls on there walking, guys on there, and I'm like, dang, if I could just figure that out, I'd be probably dangerous. I'd be probably doing like Larry every day, just walking. Right? I can't figure it out for my life, and I have watched over and over and tried. But they are so incredible, like the way they do it, and dip and turn and get right back up and be walking. And I'm just like, okay, Compton and South Central and all that, because they are the masters of walking. But yeah, it's amazing how people are so incredibly limber and can dance so well, regardless of what age they are. I'm like, okay.
I got a question. I don't know, maybe you guys still do it with your family, but do you guys remember family picnics when people would show up to Brookside and having family picnic, 1991, 1992 shirts on? Do you guys still?
Oh, we did that before that.
I know, but I'm just saying, do you still do it?
Yes, we just had our big one in July last year. We do it. Yeah, we still do family reunion every 4 years, and then we try every 2 years or something to have a big family picnic. But we had ours at Griffith Park last year because my grandmother and them started that, and we still do it. Yeah. And have a shirt.
You know, I think Blair does a all-school picnic every July or August, just because some of the people don't do reunions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of the schools don't do reunions, or they don't have enough people coming back. I know our school, no matter what, we have 6 to 7 reunions every year. Starting with the class of, what's this year? 25, 70, 65, 75, 85, 95, 2005, 2015. So that's 6.
Oh, and then this year, 2025 will graduate. Not that they would do a reunion, but yeah.
Well, they always do the 10-year ones. Mm-hmm. So, but you know, that's what gave me life to be in this town, is because the camaraderie that you experience with your friends, and I was talking to one of the guys. Oh, Zeke Hudson used to be the head drummer for drum section in '82 when I was first came in, right? And we were talking about how the kids are suffering, and you know how we are as kids. And it's nothing different than the kids today. So you know how kids be. Yeah, he got them burnt up fashions. Oh, look at no, for real. They bagging all the time. I used to be the type of person, I was broke, didn't have nothing. My mom would put duct tape on my $5 tennis shoes from Boys Market because I played kickball a lot. Oh yeah, she didn't, because payday wasn't coming up. I tore the shoes up. They be clapping. People saying like they be coming up, see me coming, they be doing this. What's happening, brother? Yeah, you did it. So I come up doing the same thing because my whole thing was you're not getting me. So I ain't going to bag on myself first. Hey, come to clapper, boy. What's happening? But look at your crayons that's like dang near already drew everything on the sidewalk. Stop playing with me. that was my retaliation, because my father said you can't beat them up because you're too little. So what you got to do is you got to use your brain. So I remember one time at Wilson, this guy was like, I'm going to kick your butt after school. And instead of saying I'm a little scared, I said, I'll be there. And when I got there, they're still, of course, everybody in school know. So they circling around. So I get down on my knees, put my hands behind my back and turn my head and say, man, you the biggest, baddest person here. Go ahead, man. Take your shot and just get it over with. it would throw them off because they're not going to help a defenseless. They're not going to hit a defenseless person. Then later on, I catch up to him and like, hey man, you need your homework. You need some help with your homework, man. I need you to be my ally. You know what I'm saying? I was that guy. I don't think I ever got any fights after 8th grade because I didn't push myself in those situations. Like, how everybody bagging on this one dude, but the minute you say something, he want to beat you up, man. Mm-hmm. What you talking about? Who said you could say something? Well, everybody else is saying it, and I did point out that you got that ugly mole on your lip. I mean, I was quick with it though. I would slide in and use big words. People didn't know what it was.
Damn.
And my son, I think he adopted that from me too, because he's got that stoic. Hey, Dad, we're gonna go to Zoomies today. He gives you that little look. Then he'll start trying to crack some jokes. Oh boy, but yeah, the kids are going through it, man. I mean, I wouldn't want to be the person that have to go to school with somebody whose house didn't burn down, because now you're going through the kid trauma that kids go through. Your kids don't come home talking about, Dad, I got bagged on real bad today. Man, I needed some comebacks, man. I wish I could have texted you so you could give me some background out there. But that's
even for the kids whose home is still standing, then that's a different kind of trauma, because a lot of times we have survivor's guilt, right? Mm-hmm. And for the homes that survived and their whole neighborhood is gone, and there's one on a block or two on the block, and they've had to remediate it, and now they're back. Like at the event last night, I saw Nolanda and Joe Love, and they're like, we're back. We're still doing some work, but, we had to remediate. That survivor's guilt is no joke either. I remember when I was at SC, and in one day, 250 people got laid off. And in my department, 9 of us, I was the one left. It was like in 2000.
So you can't even say anything, because now they feel like, how'd you get this thing?
Right. I've been through that before too.
I was on my way home, and my CIO called my phone. Him and our CTO were in the office together, and my CIO's phone in his office, and they called my phone together, and I'm in my car driving, and I'm bawling, right? And they knew, though. They were such compassionate men. They were like, Antoinette, we called to check on you. We know your whole entire department. And they did it, walk them into HR, whatever, one at a time. And then they allowed them to come back, but with 2 security guards with them to only get their personal belongings.
And be out.
Up nothing.
Nah.
Your purse, if you were a woman, whatever. You can't log on, nothing. Get your stuff and walk you out. And I'm sitting here watching one at a time, 9 people come. And I'm like, well, damn, I'm going to get called next. I guess I'm getting fired today too. And it didn't happen. And they ended, and they called me on the way home, and they were like, we are so sorry. If you need whatever support you need, we got you. If you want counseling, if you need time off, and I'm just like, what just happened, right? And that was on day 1. On day 2, it was a total of like 800 people in 2 days. But my immediate team was 9, and in my office, it was like 250. And I was just like, gone. So that survivor's guilt can be real. And I can imagine for children whose homes are still there, none of their friends, if they had friends in the neighborhood, are there. If they're going to school at their new school location, right, and seeing all their friends, but they get to get picked up and go back to their home in their bed or whatever every day, and their friends don't. How are they coping with that? And then the parents too, right? So even that kind of trauma, people really need to go and talk to whomever it is, right? And I'm thankful for all of those that are childhood therapists that are dealing with the children in the schools and are making themselves available so that they can deal with that and let, because I can imagine being like, well, why didn't my house burn? And I'm a kid. As an adult, it's enough, right? But on a kid, like, well, why not us? And why did my neighbors and everybody around us? But I can't even fathom thinking about that as an adult, but really as a child, as a youth. Like,
it's got to be tough for them to deal with.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like we've been talking, they have some sort of outlet for them to deal with it. The beauty of it is it's going to build some strength in them that they had no idea, that they could have, even for the folks, for the adults as well. But man, yeah, them kids, it's got to be very interesting.
Segues us into at least an announcement for this weekend, but which is Lone Alta Park, right? And the kids reopening, but the resilience, yes, that will come, that they're going to find that they have, and to other things that happen in their life. And then hopefully a lot of them that are displaced, their parents bring them on Saturday to Lone Alta Park. It starts at 9. I'll be up there 9-ish. But they're going to cut the ribbon and all that at 9, and at 12 they'll do the dream fields and all of that from the Dodgers, that dedication at noon. But I'm hoping that enough people bring their children who were impacted by losing their homes and their schools, that this gives them some hope and brings some happiness to, at least the little people.
Yeah, I just put the flyer up. You can speak to it. I mean, just everything you were talking about.
Yeah, that's cool because I was saying it, so you put it up. But they changed it to 9:30. Okay, that's when the actual ribbon cutting from the playground. Well, children play day is at 9:30. The ribbon cutting will be at 10:30. 12 noon is the unveiling for the 2 Dodger dream fields, and then 2:30 on is live music, community picnic. They're gonna have food trucks, all kinds of stuff, there. But come out, see where the new senior center will be housed, see where the Altadena Library satellite will be. There will be employment opportunities for youth, and then childcare and camp programs as well, because we know that school's getting ready to be out and people need to know now, well, since my childcare burned down, where do I take my child? Since my kid went to the summer camp and it's no longer there, where do I go? So there will be some things that the county has on tap for everybody on Saturday. And then there will be the Our Spot Teen Center, which is in the building, the small gym where Lone Alta Preschool back in the day was. That's reopening as well, because it's been there and that didn't burn down, but they had to close it because everything else has been there. So they're going to kind of highlight that. So even the teenagers have their spot to go back to.
Well, the cool thing about when we were up there last time, where now all of our shorts are popping up left and right, I get excited when I see them.
Oh yeah,
one of the people I covered, which was a funny short, was the people giving opportunities for teens. They're starting off at $17, $18 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's much.
Amazing for a teenager.
When we were young, we was making $3 an hour.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
We thought that was big.
Small single digits.
$1,000 a month. Thinking that, that was school clothes money.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy to get my little job because my mother was like, "We going to the thrift store to get y'all stuff this school year, and not mine. I'm not going. I'm going to eat meals. I'm going to Warren Brothers and get me some Nike Cortez.
Some real brands.
Going in 9th grade this year, not at all. No.
Hey, I gotta give a big shout out to my cousin Big Gene, because he helped me get some new shoes freshman year. Because my freshman year, I didn't have no Nikes. Nike wasn't all big at that time.
I did.
We know you did, Tony. We weren't all as privileged as you.
Look, I'm the silver spoon on the show, huh?
Yeah, it's all good. I had Pro Wings, y'all. I had Pro Wings from Payless.
When you
high top.
And I go, it literally is because I didn't experience that life, right?
No, we know.
And it makes me that much more thankful, like how I grew up. Because sometimes we lose sight of that, right? And we just think, I know we were spoiled, right? And went to private school, if we, whatever, me and my little brother. And we had everything. But to say, like, my parents worked their butts off for that, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes we lose sight of that when we get older. But when I hear you guys talk about stuff, we didn't shop at Payless. We didn't have government, nothing. But my dad was an engineer, right? And so, yeah, we were privileged. But I'm thankful for my parents and the life that they afforded us to have. Because really, when I don't take that for granted. When I hear stuff, and you guys have seen me a million times, and will continue when you say stuff, and I go, or I start laughing. I'm like, that's so foreign to me.
Oh yeah, we know.
Man, I grew up seeing people get their fingers cut off, get shot, smoke sherm, beat up the police, walk around naked, on drugs. Just I've seen it all.
Yeah,
all of it. So it doesn't shock me. Now, what I won't do is let my kids see it. They did not grow up that way at all.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't see none of that stuff. I remember when I took my son to the 2008 Turkey Tussle, and that's when the drum section had 70 drummers. I thought it was the dopest year. And Jordan was in the video, and he goes, "Dad, I want to play drums at Muir." And I cried, not because he was wanting to do it, but he couldn't. I wasn't allowing him to go to that school in that year. It was horrible.
Oh, at that time it wasn't.
Oh,
it wasn't
God.
popular.
He went to Arcadia, and I'm sorry. I didn't get to keep the tradition going, but it had to take Mr. Cash to come back to the school to get it back straight again. And I'm thanking God for him. And then he passed away a couple years ago.
Like 5 years ago or something?
Yeah, I think it was 21. It was 21.
4 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and I did the Zoom for him because Michael Greggs called me up. He's married to his daughter. And he called me up and was all distraught. He said, "Man, I need you to do a Zoom for me." I didn't know he was related to Mr. Cash. I said, "Well, I'm really booked this week." And he said, "Yeah, my uncle and Mr. Cash." I said, "Mr. Cash, oh no, I'm changing that around."
Yeah.
Right.
That man kept me on the straight and narrow when I first got to school. Remember, I told you, he called my father. He said, what's your father's name, young man?
Yeah.
I said, "Roger." He said, "What's his phone number?"
Yeah.
I know you was looking like, why?
He called my dad, and my dad said, "I'm walking to school with you today." I said, "For what?" He said, "You're just going to walk to school with you today. You don't know what's going on." He pulled me. He said, we got to the front desk. I said, "What you doing here?" They said, "Yeah, we're here to see Mr. Cash. And if my father, because my father's blind, if my father could see my face, it was a look of horror." And Mr. Cash sat down. I thought he was going to light into me. He said, "You have one of the most intelligent kids in the school. He's not applying himself. He's clowning around in my class. He sniffed me out big time." My father said that'll never happen again.
Yeah, he did what he was supposed to do.
And that was the end of that meeting. And I walked him back home. And then I came back to school. Mm-hmm. That was a devastating day for me. Mm-hmm. But my father never got mad. And I remember the same thing happened with my son when he got 2 A's, 2 C's, and 2 F's in his midterm. Remember that, Jamal? And I called his school. I saw this. I didn't say nothing to him. I called his school and I said, "I need to meet with every teacher because I want to know why he's doing this." And they said, "Your son's a great kid. He's quiet. He just sits in the back of the class. He's just not turning in certain homework assignments." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, from now on, he sits in the front. Here's my email. Send me everything he's supposed to get so that I'll be on top of it," because I felt like I was a bad parent that this happened because I was a straight A student. So when he came home from school, I said, "Hey, Jordan, I had a meeting with all your teachers." He just started crying. He just started crying. "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Jordan, I'm not mad." I'm like, because I'm a different dad. I remember the harshness of my mom. I did not want to give that to him. So I said, "I understand, but what we're going to do is I'm going back to school now because now I'm going to make sure that you read everything and that you read ahead so that you can stay in the game." The end of the year, straight A's.
Yeah, that's dope.
And of course, I cried. He goes, "Why are you crying, Dad? You gotta look like a simp." But I said, "Dude, you made me proud because when I told my dad, he said all it took was you to be involved like I was involved with you." Indeed. And it was a great feeling. After that, it was cool, you know. Then he moved back with his mom. And
I wonder if we should do a show on just the stories of our kids.
Oh God, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
Just gotta tell our kids not to watch it, because boy, we're gonna be in trouble.
I want mine watching.
My son
watch all of it. Watch all
My
of
son
it.
didn't talk until he was 3, but he could talk. So one day I was up in the apartment and he's downstairs yapping it up with his friend downstairs. I come downstairs and stand behind him. He turns around and he just shuts up. So I whisper in his ear, I know you can talk and I know you understand me. So now, if I tell you something, you need to do it. And his famous words, oh, okay. Shut you up. He, at a young age, knew how to stop you from talking. Oh, okay.
Well, my youngest, the one who's 28, he didn't talk. Well, this is what my mother said. I'm gonna call CPS on you. I said, for what? Because something's wrong with your baby. You need to take him to get tested. He didn't talk around other people because he was observing everything. He's a
that was my son.
Genius. But he talked his butt off at home, right?
When's your son's birthday?
March 25th.
No, okay.
And super smart.
September,
but he was like, I'm going to talk when I want to talk. But he talked at home. But my mother always would be like, something's wrong. Ain't nothing wrong with my daggone kid. He talks, you know. And then when he did start talking, she was like, oh my God, he won't shut up. You know, because
you asked for it?
Right, because he talks at home. And then I remember, so I used to tell him, I was like, he was really arrogant because super smart, right? I used to tell all his friends, like, I don't know why y'all are his friends because he is an a-hole and I would not be his friend, right? And I used to tell him, my dad asked him one time, or my mom was like, I think my dad was like, you a know-it-all or you know so much. He was like, I don't know everything, but I know a lot. And he was probably like 6 because he knew he did because he was smart. He was 6 or something like that. But it was like, yeah, and all that time you was talking about he wouldn't talk. Now you know just how much because he's observing, sucking it all up, and then he just gonna spit it out. And you're gonna
very
be like,
observant. Because I remember when my mom told me, she said, I remember one time you was about 3 or 4, and you asked one of my friends, said, Can you spell track? And she spelled TRACKS. And I go, I didn't say tracks. I said tracks. I've been like that ever since. I mean,
that's how this one is. Super sarcastic, but they're smart. But it's just like, okay, where'd you come from?
Can't help it. I mean,
right.
Don't teach me something and then expect me not to use it.
Can you spell the track? Not you quizzing the adult.
Hey, that was me.
I got to wait a couple of years, but my daughter's she's smart too.
How old is she?
She's 8. Just turned 8 in May 8th. So,
and you haven't had none of these shenanigans yet. That's wonderful.
Well, I mean, yeah,
you will.
Oh, they coming.
The girl ain't really. She's funny, but you know.
You're going. It's one of these days you're going to come on. You're going to be like,
that's okay. I'm ready.
My youngest has been debating with me since she was like 3 years old. Anytime I tell her to do something, she got a snapback, some sort of rebuttal, something that's, some angle she's trying to cover so she can't do it or doesn't have to do it. Oh no, I just look at her like she's crazy. Sometimes we go back and forth, but the bottom line, I'll get to a point I'm like, man, you better go do that. I ain't got no more time for this.
I would tell my kid, this ain't up for discussion.
Yeah.
Period. If I say that's not up for discussion, you better get your tail in there and do it because next I'm gonna be taking off on you. This is not negotiation.
She never stops.
Period.
She's still talking when she's doing it. She's still some sort of argument, and then she's like, "Well, my sister didn't do it, or it's not my turn." And it's okay, whatever. While you're doing it, we can talk about that. Yeah, but get it done. But she always does. But Naima, the next one, she good. She handles her business. She does her thing. The little one, man, be wanting to Velcro her to the ceiling all the time. It's like, just stay up there for a little while.
Stay up there. All the way to get down.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what are you still talking?
Yep. And the thing is, they're all my kids are intelligent. And that's where it comes from. And part of me is laughing every time she says, or any of them say something. It's like laughing. It's like, God, y'all some smart mugs.
And the thing is, they come back because we weren't allowed to come back. You might have got popped a backhand, right?
Oh, they know where I don't do it to this day. Me and my mom? Nah, heck nah.
I do. I'm telling
no
y'all.
Way. I know, you've told us.
The baddest one. Because I was going to say what had to be said.
I find myself saying, my bad, Mom.
Probably shouldn't. Because my mama used to say, suck your teeth again. I'm gonna knock them down your throat. And I'd suck them and I'd roll my eyes. I promise you, my kids would never be able to get away with that. So how is the grace of God I'm still alive?
Oh, my mom.
Yeah, when Sabrina was on and we were all talking about, we're scared while you talking about that. That is very true. That is very true.
I'm never afraid of my mom because she would say stuff and I would get logical with it. Like boy, if you don't get out my face, I said, well, Mom, physics doesn't allow me to be in your face. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how did I get in your face? Like, am I in your face? No. You know, I would really do that kind of stuff.
Ain't no time for that.
My dad was too crazy for that, so I just left my Okay, I'm gonna tell your dad. I'm gonna tell your dad. That's what my mom would do. I'm gonna tell your dad. I'm like, nah.
Wait till your father gets home.
I'm good.
But that wasn't a threat for me because I've always been close to my dad and a daddy's girl. So she couldn't be like, I'm gonna tell your dad, and that would scare me. She would just go get the belt and whoop me until, like I said, I was 13 and I laughed at her because it didn't hurt no more. Like, why are you whooping me? Like, this doesn't hurt.
Standing like this. Are you done?
Right. Basically, we were on the floor laughing. Me and my brother were on the floor in my room cracking up laughing as she walked back by. She was so pissed off. But it was like, don't hurt. Like, you can't whoop me.
You better don't sass me. You better mind me. I said, I don't mind minding you.
Oh, Lord.
And see, some of the stuff I wouldn't have been able to get away with when it comes to physics stuff because my dad was an engineer, mechanical and chemical engineer. So he would have, if I'd have said, well, physics doesn't allow, he'd have been like, look, little girl, or something.
Right. But I couldn't get away with the English, the grammatical stuff. Because Mom's was an English teacher. She was going to check me like, yo, nah, you can't do that. But when the spanking didn't work for me, she was threatening me with frying pans and other stuff. It never got to that because for me, before my mom got mad, the first thing that would happen, was her nostrils would flare when she would get mad. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, uh-oh. Then I'm like recalculating, okay, what I do wrong? What happened? All right, cool.
You didn't have nobody to go off of.
Let me shut it down. No, I didn't
nobody to blame.
Not at all. I got to the age where I wanted the punishment. I wanted the spanking over the punishment. My dad.
Oh God, I always ask for the beating.
I got a 6 months and 8 months. I'm like, nah, just whoop me.
Punishment for 6 or 8 months?
Well, they give you like mine would be like 2 weeks. I can't be in this
lockdown. 24, no sleep.
Well, the problem with me is my dad is a musician and an educator, so I'll be in there learning something. I don't want to play the piano. No, you don't punish me. We're gonna learn these keys today.
Right. Oh, that was punishment.
Like fun.
Yeah, you gonna play that?
Now does.
We're gonna make about 3 songs. I'm sitting there going, I don't want to play this. I wish I could go outside. I'll be in the middle of playing on the deck. Can you just beat me real quick? I promise. I don't want to do this.
Not you asking for a whooping. You're dumb.
No, they give me a choice. You want a beating by me or your mama? I'd rather get a beating by my dad because my dad is going to hit you on the butt 10 swats and it's over with. My mother is going to use every syllable of the paragraph to hit you. I'll tell you not. Yeah. I said, when is this sentence going to end?
Where's the period? Right. My dad would just talk to me. I got tired of the conversations. He tried to explain, and that's what I do to my kids for the most part.
The intellectual.
And they're like,
intellectual abuse.
Come on, can you just put me on punishment or spank me or something? Like, nah, I need you to get it.
He would use
I got both.
Go run up and down the stairs.
Hold your hand out.
For what?
Yeah. So you get smacked.
My my dad's vicious. And he would give me those long talks. So
I never got whooped with a switch, with an extension cord, with a shoe, with a wooden spoon.
Hot wheel track. That's the one.
Just a belt.
We would get out of if you acted up in church, he would say, okay, come on, let's go outside. Let's go across the street. Pick out the switch.
Oh no, I've heard that. And they make you like pick the things off.
You better stop playing with me, boy. Pick out a real switch.
Oh, if you got a skinny one, I've heard that.
Pick out a switch.
That's child abuse. My dad is child abuse.
Nah, that's learning. That's learning your kid.
No, anything other than a belt is child abuse, I think.
Well, you know.
Well, my mother say, "Oh, you want to call the police? I'm gonna put you in the home. 5 acres is 3 houses down." So you and I say, and see me, I say, well, at least I get 3 hot meals and a good. She was like, "What about you, the devil's child?" I said, well,
not even.
Probably called you the devil. I know.
No, she didn't. Say, you the devil's child. You the child of the devil. I said, well, so are you related to the devil? Because I came from you. So
right.
Could I be from? Oh man, it would go back and forth. My father just be over there snickering because he was like,
we never had that, Marcus. We didn't get whooped for one another. We got a spanking or whatever for.
My brother didn't get nothing happening to him. So we blamed everything on him.
Yeah, the snitching.
Child abuse too. If you
not
have
the
multiple
snitching.
whoopings for your siblings, your brothers, that's child abuse too. You should have said something to somebody.
No, that's when you beat them up after you get out.
Right, afterwards.
Get that. Well, we've been on for 2 hours. Sorry we took up a lot of your time, Lionel. You thought it was going to be like 45 minutes or so. You know, sometimes
I came
it goes
prepared
like
mentally. I said, okay.
Last time you said I'm allowed to get off at 10:45, and what was that, 12 o'clock?
Yeah, it was probably an hour and 20 or something last time.
That's the beauty of the show, right? Because
appreciate you coming on and not only sharing the extra knowledge about the therapy and stuff, but just telling people from a different perspective about how the event went, because we're going to give what we covered. Mm-hmm. You were there for the whole thing because it was your baby. And we're looking forward to seeing some more of these, because this is what's needed for the summer. This should be the summer of love and not the fire summer of love like that one guy Joe was talking about. But yeah, I predict that we're going to have a great summer. Everything is over. We're going to have lots of events coming up. Juneteenth is coming up. There's going to be some events we're going to be announcing for that. And no. Scott, she gone.
She just rolled over like that. I'm sorry. I just had to share.
That's cute. What is that? A Aussie Shepherd?
Nah, she's a husky.
Oh Lord! Not you got a husky that talks back and acts.
She don't really talk back. She's not the typical husky. She does a little bit, but she greets the hell out of you when you come in the crib. But and then afterwards, she's done with you. You leave, she'll just be like, all right, then. When you come, she's like, oh, look at it. She passed out.
He is out.
Is that a Frenchie?
I'm watching. No, that's a pet bull / cane corso mix.
Oh, cunning.
Wow. That's a combo right there.
Oh, God. He's Mr. Energetic. I can't deal with it. I'm surprised he's laying down right now.
Because Frenchies are the ugliest little things. Them
and pugs.
Right.
I'm not fans of them. And bulldogs.
The 3 ugly dogs to me are that hairless one, the all shriveled up pugs, and Frenchies. I'm like, wow.
Shar-Peis?
No.
I love those, but when they get older, they lose all the wrinkles.
Well, and they're mean. Shar-Peis are mean. I had a Shar-Pei one time, and they mean.
And Chow-Chows, too.
Oh, God. They are very finicky.
Chows are finicky, and they can be mean. I need to get another dog. I'm gonna get another Saint Bernard because that's what I grew up with, Saints, and I love.
It's a big old dog, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, everybody, thanks for watching, and hopefully we brought some good information to you about. Obviously, Lionel talked about the feedback first of the event, so we recapped that now twice. But then we evolved into a discussion on mental health, therapy, going to get what you need. Then we evolved into the physical health. Obviously, especially when it comes to gentlemen in the Black and brown communities. Y'all, please take care of yourself because we need you. Don't let anybody lie and say we don't need our men because we do. And women.
And we need our women.
Well, but women typically will go to the doctor more than a man. So that's why I didn't push it on the women as much, because we'll do our well woman or get our breasts done, for memos and all that. But everybody, take care of yourselves. Physically, got health insurance. If you don't, go to county, whatever. No hospital can turn you away. Go get the what you need. mentally, especially dealing with these fires. We're 4 months out, but this is going to be a long process to rebuild. So take care of yourselves. Make sure you schedule some self-care time. Like the Bets are having their monthly gathering at the I want to call it a bowling alley, but it's, Dave and Buster's.
Dave and Buster's.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, guess what today is?
And hold on. And go to the different events on the weekends. Get out when it's sunshiny. Get in your garden. Do whatever, but take care of you. And then, Brian, what is today?
We out here.
Oh. His favorite spot.
Right now, started at 12 to 3. I'm going to be, my car is in the shop getting the brakes fixed. It should be.
I'm about to go right now. Go check it out.
She's ready right now.
It's Juicy Little.
Yeah, Juicy. Got him crazy.
Anybody have a picture of Juicy Little?
Let's go to her Instagram.
Today we're going to find out. We're going to have a picture today.
Please. Because I'm like, who is Juicy Little?
I'm about to go find out. I'm just so curious off that name.
Me too.
I can go any which way, and I want to know which way it is.
Okay, I'm about to show it to you right now. Here's Miss Juicy Little.
Because that name from day one, I'm like, Juicy Little? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's that song? Juicy. Hey, Juicy Little.
Oh, M2
Okay.
Yes.
Her name is really Crystal.
Oh, Crystal, Miss Juicy Little Lopez. Okay, Crystal Lopez. Maybe we'll call her that.
But if you want her email, you got to say Miss Juicy.
Oh,
Ms.
yeah.
Juicy Little.
There's their website, juicylittle.org.
Let's not go to it because we don't know what's on there.
Miss Juicy, if you're class.
Yeah, let's not.
Well, no,
I went there. It's safe. You can go.
Okay.
Oh, you said I went there.
I mean, I'm just looking at it now.
There it is, the Juicy Little Society.
Okay, thank you for checking that.
Before the fire, after the fire. Well, .org, I thought it would be. Oh, she's also got some other stuff. Free food.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, that's in LA.
Right there, because we sure is talking about her name and promoting her whole page right now. So
yeah,
of course,
true that.
And she got all kinds of those stuff. Juicy Little Finds Thrift Store, Juicy Little Meals, Juicy Little Street Soldiers.
I'm going to go meet Juicy Little.
Juicy Little Jobs. Look at that.
So we were all having that same, like, what is this? But anyway, thank you, Miss Juicy Little, for We Out Here every Wednesday, I believe.
We out here.
And we out here. Brian says we out here. Jamal, are there any more announcements? Because we really didn't hit them that you want to cover?
I mean, for today, yeah, there's a couple. Just there's this one. It's fresh produce giveaway. It is in Pomona, but it's every second Wednesday. But again, free produce, 750 South Park Avenue in Pomona. First come, first serve. Then there is. Wait, there's one before? No, after.
I'm going up there to get some corn on the cob.
Where is that other one?
Where on Fair Oaks Burger?
Oh, sorry.
Where are you going to get?
Now this one. Oh. There's another air purifier distribution.
And we out you.
Yes. So another free air purifier distribution, 2150 Glen Rose Avenue, today from 2 to 6.
That's important.
And you do have to have ID. So you definitely want to check that out. So again, 2 to 6, 2150 Glen Rose.
The 2 per household is great. Altadena, Pasadena, Sierra Madre residents, because we know that miles away, downwind or whatever, there are toxins still. So that's really good to be doing. Thank you, whoever is doing that. It doesn't say, but thank you.
And then the senior luncheon, from 12 to 3. That's going on First AME, 1700 North Raymond Avenue in Pasadena.
Fame.
Yep. We'll go over all the rest in detail. We'll talk about what's happening this weekend.
Yeah.
We can do that tomorrow or Friday or both.
Yeah, tomorrow's good. I know Friday I'm gonna have to jump at 11. I have a couple meetings, but tomorrow we have a couple special guests, and there will be a couple special presentations from those guests to those guests. So tomorrow will be Tony Talks show, since I wasn't feeling the greatest yesterday and we didn't have it. So looking forward to everybody coming on, and looking forward to the guests that come on as well. Hopefully,
we're moving and shaking in the background, baby.
Yes, indeed. See, look, we're shaking, we're moving and shaking.
Nah, I ain't gonna do that. The light might fall off.
I didn't be like flat.
When the Meals on Wheels comes by.
No doubt.
Get the doors.
Thanks for checking out episode 86, you guys. You hear that?
Oh, yeah. By the way,
86.
Corie graduated in 86, so we'll dedicate this number to Corie. She graduated in 86.
Kudos, y'all.
Oh, Corie did?
Yeah, Corie graduated in 86 from the same school that Lionel went to, so I ain't going to knock.
Bulldogs.
Oh, that thing across town?
Yeah, that's
that
cool.
up, man. That's a great way to end, man.
That thing across town?
That other school?
Right.
Talk and stuff. I can't see it. It's not clear. It's not coming up on the screen, Brian.
It's coming on quite nicely, Brian.
Yes. It's the clearest thing ever.
The only
Wait, do it again. B, do it again.
This is
see that right there? Yeah, that right there.
Does it say murky? I can't spell.
That thing across town. That's why you
Hey, man, I grew up where my parents was like, nah, you ain't going there.
Look, you can't spell because you went to that thing across
people want a mirror. Like, nah, you can't do that.
Shit, that's what happened to us. Everybody was together until they went to high school, and then there was a divide.
Chinese song was 8th grade. Then all of a sudden we hated each other.
Well, only a few times a year.
You know, I painted a horse one time, but that's a different story.
Oh, okay.
Yourself in trouble, bro. Yourself in trouble.
Allegedly.
Yeah, somebody stole the bell and took it up the Cheney Trail when it was on Turn to Average from VHS. Found it later and had to restore it.
Not allegedly. They found it.
I mean, I know. Yeah, exactly.
So what, were you going to play a song for Corie?
No, he was just talking about 86.
No, because she graduated 86.
Because tomorrow's for me.
Tomorrow is Jamal's number.
Well, 87.
And Lionel, when did you graduate? What year?
06.
That's coming. What, 2 weeks from now? 3 weeks?
100. We're gonna bring you back on the 106th episode.
Yeah, I need to lock in with them. I haven't locked in with them. I'm about to do that though.
I'm sure they got a lot going on.
I know.
Y'all 20-year reunion is next year.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Y'all ain't planning?
You ain't dialed in.
I'm about to tap all the way in now.
Huh?
What year did I graduate? 83. What am I at? 42 years this year?
Yeah. You already had jobs a couple years ago.
I know. That's what I said. 2025, and I graduated in 1983.
Yeah, so 2023.
42 years. So yeah, we had the 40th 2 years ago. Good night already.
Yeah. That we only doing them every 5 years now. We ain't waiting for 10. People dropping
out you gotta
5. We ain't got time to be wasting. So just so y'all know, the class of 85 has formed a nonprofit called the JMHS 85 Foundation. And I encourage all class reunion people who have been doing it for a while to form a nonprofit, because what we're doing is every 5 years we're having our reunions, but during that we're having people pay $100 a year to donate for the scholarship fund for the students at Muir. So that's the main reason why we wanted to do it. And this was before all this happened. We formed this in October because we want to leave a legacy at the school for people to continue. And I'm going to encourage a lot of the people who do get the scholarships to become student board members, because the problem with our town period is that everybody that's our age and close to it is doing stuff. None of the youngsters. So we need to start getting them more involved so that they can continue our legacies of what we've been trying to get done for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So on that note, I'm going to hit peace out. Everybody say toodles or whatever.
Have a great day, y'all.
Toodles. Toodaloo.
Please.
Bye,
All right,
everyone.
bye.